looking at 2 Samuel chapter 17. Now, if you remember, if you have a understanding,
17 or 16?
17. I think you might have missed one, but we're on 2 Samuel 17.
I thought we was on 16. You said it was on long.
Now we're on 2 Samuel chapter 17 today. As a matter of fact, I put 16 up on YouTube, so if you wanted to go by and check that out, you certainly can. All right, so
That's right. Last Sunday, that's right. Last Sunday, I went to the hospital. You're right.
right. All right, so with this chapter, what we're going to see is this continuation of the the battle, the struggle that is going on in the house of David. Remember, because of David's sin with Bathsheba, that God sent the prophet Nathan to David to let David know, I saw your sin, you committed adultery, and you committed murder. Those are sins that are worthy of death. But God told David through the prophet Nathan, you're not going to die. God showed grace and mercy on that occasion. But what God also told David was that you gave great opportunity for the enemies of God to blaspheme. One of the greatest enemies there is in the spiritual realm, and so what we see here in David's life is that the enemy, evil thinking, evil desires, evil ways, rose up in the family line of David. Ammon raping his half sister Tamar, Absalom killing Ammon. Absalom was Tamar's full brother, and Absalom killed Ammon. Then David and Absalom were estranged, and then Joab worked out a mediation to bring them back together, but it still wasn't that good. But then through all of that, Absalom began to plot against David to overthrow his father as king. All of these things, where do these thoughts come from? Who puts these ideas in the heads of people? Why does a person all of a sudden decide, I'm going to take out this other person? In Absalom's case, I'm going to take advantage of my position to overthrow my father. Where does the desire, where does the hunger, where does the thirst to do something like that come from? It doesn't come out of nowhere. Well, the Bible lets us know that the heart of man is desperately wicked. And that if we allow and we are influenced by evil spiritual things, we can come up with concepts that we feel like we're justified to do, but they have nothing to do with the righteousness of God. This is why we need to make sure that we watch what we think. We should make sure that we're thinking on good things. We should not be thinking on revenge or anger or hate, because what does it do? It opens a door for the enemy to come in and to adjust and inflate some of the things that we may be feeling to the negative side. And that's what God told David that he did. And so for whatever reason, I don't know the constitution in the spiritual realm. We just see it through a glass darkly. We see some of it. But for some reason, now the enemy is in the heart of Absalom, was in the heart of Ammon. All of these things that they thought to do did not come from God. Now we see this in Scripture because for whatever reason, when God called the assembly of the spiritual beings, the sons of God, in the book of Job, it states that Satan came also and requested opportunity to get into Job and mess with him. And God allowed it. Well, God's allowing these situations to happen that have root in the spiritual realm but manifest in the natural to affect David. But keep this in mind. God is still with David. Though David sinned and though David did wrong, God still called David a man after his own heart. We talked about this on many times, how you can be in a bad situation and God still be on your side. We talked about Joseph, how he was sold by his brothers and then thrown in jail and forgotten about. But in each of those instances, the Bible stated while he was being thrown in jail and while he was being sold into slavery, that it stated that God was with Joseph, which is sometimes seems like, how can that be? How can God be with me, but things are going so bad? Always remember, just because things are going bad does not mean God's not with you. What you got to make sure is that you are connecting to God. And what we're going to see here, for whatever reason, in David's makeup, the way he is, he seems to always connect to God the best when he's running from somebody and living in the wilderness. And sometimes that speaks to a lot of people. Some people can be the best servant of God when they struggle. Now, some people can be good and be really successful, and that's the best servant of God they can be. But God knows how to draw you closer to him. And if you have a desire to be closer to God, God a lot of times will use things that we would not have thought to do. We would not think to do it, but that's what makes God God and us human. God understands the totality of all things, where we understand just what we can see. And that's why the Bible says that we know in part and we testify in part. The Bible also says when we're looking at the spiritual realm, it's like looking through a glass darkly. Right? You can't really see what's going on. All right, so with that being said, we know David's on the run. He's left Jerusalem. Absalom is now in Jerusalem. And Absalom has this advisor, Ahithophel, who is a very wise strategist. And Ahithophel is going to assist Absalom. Now, you might say to yourself, wait a minute, wasn't Ahithophel David's counselor? Wasn't he the one that was with David? And the answer to that would be yes, he was. And you wonder, well, why did Ahithophel do this? Why is he going against David and joining Absalom? It doesn't say in the Bible specifically, but we do have some hints. It does seem as though Ahithophel is related to Bathsheba. You know, when you're reading in the scripture and you see all those genealogies, this one begat this one, and that one begat this one, and so was the father of this. Well, a lot of times it seems like boring reading, but there's a lot in it. And it's a lot connecting to information about our Messiah, Jesus. That's why some of these genealogies are so important, and even why the book of Matthew and the book of Luke begin pretty much with these long genealogies. But if you look in scripture, especially in 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 3, as well as 2 Samuel chapter 23, which we haven't gotten to yet, verse 34, you'll see that Ahithophel and Bathsheba have a common relative, Elam. And so Bathsheba identified as the daughter of Elam, and Elam is described as the son of Ahithophel. So that would then make Ahithophel, if this is a correct connection of these two genealogies, Bathsheba's grandfather. So then you would wonder, is Ahithophel aware, or certainly he's aware, but is he taking out his own form of vengeance because of what David did to the first marriage of his granddaughter? It could be. It doesn't say specifically, but you can put a couple of things together, read between the lines, and you may come up with that. There is some reason why Ahithophel is turning on David when he was David's chief counselor. And so when you look at the psalm where David talks about, if it was my enemy that turned against me, I could have borne it. But it was you, my friend. And so he was speaking about Ahithophel. Ahithophel also is a shadow and a type of another person there was a friend that turned on his so-called friend Judas, who turned on Jesus. And what we're going to see in this chapter is Ahithophel has a lot of metaphorical similarities to Judas, including how he dies, which we will bring out here in just a bit. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the reading. 2 Samuel chapter 17. Let's take a listen.
Chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom,
Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. And I will bring back all the people unto thee. The man whom thou seekest is as if all returned, so all the people shall be in peace.
And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. Then said Absalom,
Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he saith.
And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying,
Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou.
And Hushai said unto Absalom,
The counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For,
said Hushai,
thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit, or in some other place, and it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, There is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground. And of him and of all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as one. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river, until there be not one small stone found there.
And Absalom and all the men of Israel said,
The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel.
For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. Then said Hushai unto Zadok and to Abiathar the priests,
Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Now therefore send quickly, and tell David, saying, Lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him.
Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said,
Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan?
And the woman said unto them,
They be gone over the brook of water.
And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And it came to pass after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David,
Arise, and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you.
Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass, and arose, and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim, And Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. And it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobai, the son of Nahash of Rabbah, of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel of Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness.
All right. Now, you see the beauty in this if you look at how God is still with David. You see the trouble he's in. You see the problems he's having. And when you look at this as a whole, the beautiful thing that sticks out of here is that God is still on David's side. Everything has a line. It's like the enemy has said, I got you now. It's like you're playing a game of chess and the enemy thinks, I'm about to make a checkmate move. But in reality, all he's doing is moving into an area that's actually going to cause him more harm. Now, that's the overall vision of this. You can just see in chapter 17 that it shows how God protects his own. What you can see in here as you see these individuals that we'll go through in just a moment, doing all of these different things kind of behind the scene that David is not aware of. It speaks to what happens to you and to me in the spiritual realm, how God is watching over us and we're not aware of all these people that are doing these things. And I say people, all these beings that are doing these things on your behalf to protect you, because God says today is not the day that the enemy will get to you. Even though you're not perfect, even though you made a lot of mistakes. But what do we have? We have the grace of God. If the Lord is your Lord, if you call him Savior, you have the grace, the protection. Have you done things to open up a crack to give opportunity for the enemy to come in to blaspheme as David did? Yes, we have. We all have done that. We've all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But God still works on our ultimate behalf to defend us even when we don't know what's going on. We look at all of these people that are working and doing to help David. And we're going to go through them. But we'll see the problems. It starts off with the problem. And that initial problem is Ahithophel. And it says, moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. Absalom's like, he's on the run. Let's go get him now. See, and this is the thing that where Absalom was a great strategist. David's not organized. Any help that David may get has probably not gotten to David yet. Absalom is really bringing forth some good advice. But God's not going to let his good advice work. God's going to defeat the real good strategy that Absalom brings forth. And Absalom knows his strategy is good. All right. But look, let's keep reading. Verse 2. He says, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak, weak-handed, and will make him afraid. He will put the fear. He will put fear in David. And that is the thing that the devil wants to do the most. He wants to put fear in you. He wants you to look at a situation and go, oh my goodness, this is what, and act like you have no hope or no way to get past or by or around a problem or a circumstance or a situation. Put fear in you. And what the Lord lets us know is we should not walk by in fear. We should not have fear. How many times have Jesus said when he was talking to his disciples, fear not? It's one of the common phrases that the Lord said, not to fear, but to have what? Faith in God. Right? But Ahithophel's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to get him while he's weak, while he's running, while he's not organized, and I'm going to put fear in him. And then I'll make him afraid. He says, and all the people that are with him shall flee. All right, and the people will run all for their lives. And look what he says here. And I will smite the king only. And what Ahithophel is saying, I'm not going to go out there and try to kill everybody. I'm just going to kill David and bring all the rest of the people back with me, and they will then join you. There will be little damage, and therefore you won't have this mourning for so much death. It'll just be the king. All right? And look at verse 3. And I will bring back all the people unto thee. The people whom thou seekest is as if all return. So all the people shall be in peace. Everybody will return, and folks will just fall in line, knowing you're the new king, and we won't have peace. We won't even have to have an ongoing war. So Ahithophel's advice is quick. We're going to make this thing happen quick. We're not going to have a war, and everybody is going to be in peace because there's not going to be a massive slaughter. The only one that needs to die is David. That's Ahithophel's advice. Verse 4. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. And everybody, Absalom and all his council men said, oh, that's a good strategy. But then something else hit Absalom's heart. All right? And guess where this came from? This came from the Lord. The Lord, even though Absalom said this advice by Ahithophel was good, something tweaked in Absalom's thinking and in his being that came from God. And we'll point this out in a minute because the scripture actually says, yes, God did this. And look what Absalom said. Then said Absalom, come now, Ahushai the Archite. Let me read this again. Then said Absalom, call now Ahushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he saith. If Ahithophel's advice was good, why don't we just do it? He wanted to hear what Ahushai, and remember, Ahushai was on David's side. He was a double agent. He went to go be part of what Absalom was doing, but he was really still working to help save David. And David also had other people, namely the priests, which we'll see here in a minute, that were there to help him. And so it's an important thing to keep in mind. You got more help than you realize. Mm-hmm. You think you're all or you struggling by yourself. You think that, well, I don't have any assistance. You got more help than you realize. God has help for you that you don't know of. That concept of guardian angels is not a myth. God has spiritual forces working on your behalf as a child of God. All right. Verse 6. Then when Ahushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. Verse 7. And Ahushai said to Absalom, the counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. Right? So he is now doing what David told him. David told him, you got to go there and you got to fight against the counsel of Ahithophel. And that's what Ahushai is doing. He's doing his job. Okay? And he's doing it well. Verse 8. For, said Ahushai, thou knowest thy father. Now he's bringing out very real things. He's not making stuff up. All right? But he's doing this to help David. Ahushai said, thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men. Now, what does that mean? It means David knows how to fight. David's been in the wilderness before. David has a history of surviving these types of things. And what Ahushai is doing is reminding Absalom, you ain't the first person that's chased after David. David was chased after the former king, Saul, for many years. And David survived all of that. And so Ahushai is reminding Absalom that this is kind of who he is. And then it's also, he's adding, and they be chafed. In other words, what does chafe mean? They are pissed off. He's mad. Okay? In their minds, as a bear robbed of its whelps. You go mess with a bear's cubs, and that mama bear sees you, you in trouble. And that's what the analogy that Ahushai is painting about what in Absalom's mind, what David may be like. Right? But we know that David is brokenhearted. David is hurt, right? Even though he is a mighty man. And it says, and thy father is a man of war. All right. Now he's making this point because what war did Absalom fight? Absalom has not fought a war. David has fought many wars. And so Ahushai is reminded, David knows how to fight. He knows how to do strategy. And look what he says. And will not lodge with the men. He's not going to hang with the people. You're going to go out there and you're going to see the fire where the people are or whatever. You're going to hear some noise and you're going to think, oh, there they go. Let's go get David. And David's going to be somewhere else, watching and ready to do an ambush. Look what he says. 9. Behold, he is hidden now in some pit or in some other place, and it will come to pass when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. You're going to send some folks down there. David's going to be hiding off in some pit. They're going to come around behind the people that you send and ambush them and kill them. And then all the people that are following you are going to be afraid, ooh, David has won the first battle. So this is the advice. He's saying, don't go down. Leave him alone for right now. And look at the advice that he gives. Continuing here, verse 10. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. So when they see that Absalom's troops get ambushed, even the brave will get scared. For all Israel knoweth thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are mighty men. Remember, they haven't forgotten the old song. Saul has killed his thousands, but what? David has killed his 10,000s. They haven't forgot that David was the one that killed Goliath. And Ahushai is reminding them. All right. But now what Absalom don't know is that Absalom, David's son, has David brokenhearted. David loves his son. Plus, David feels guilty because he's thinking, is it possible this is happening? Absalom is turning on me, and all these people that turn on me because I gave space to the enemies of God to come in. And when the enemies of God came in, one of them attached to my son. Did I let this in? This is the brokenheartedness that David is feeling. All right? And Ahushai is painting a different picture, though. Your father's out there ready to slaughter. David don't want to kill his son, and we'll see that later on. The death of Absalom is going to be a thing that breaks David's heart. But let's keep going. Verse 11. Therefore, Ahushai is continuing. Therefore, I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered. So the difference, instead of getting just 12,000 men led by Ahithophel, let's go get all Israel. All right? Let's go get all Israel and generally gather unto thee from Dan to Beersheba. That means from the north to the south. Let's get everybody. As the sand that is by the sea of multitude. Let's come out with a massive army. And thou shalt go to battle in thy own person. Don't send Ahithophel with 12,000. You go. And so he's now trying to plead to Absalom's what? Pride. Don't let Ahithophel go get the victory. You go get it, Absalom, because you're the king. All right. Verse 12. And then he goes on. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth upon the ground. He's like, we'll jump on him. He will, because we're going to outnumber him. He don't got but a few people. We're going to outnumber him so bad. We're going to come on him like somebody just threw water all over him. He's just going to be wet from head to toe. We're going to beat him down. And of him and of all the men that are with him, there shall not be left so much as one. Look at the picture that Hushai is painting. Hushai is painting a picture like this is how you get the victory. You're going to have to fight.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. So Hushai, I thought he was an ally.
He is an ally
for David.
He is an ally for David, but he's given Absalom a strategy that will take time.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, Ahithophel wants to go down right now. So Absalom wants to go down right now. Hushai is saying, no, let's don't go right now. And what he's doing is giving David time. So he's giving Absalom a strategy, and he's making Absalom believe his strategy, so he will follow it. But he knows that if he gives time, if he allows David to gather, he knows that David will be able to fortify himself and be able to, form up a strategy and protect himself.
Okay.
So it sounds like Hushai's giving a plan to defeat David, but really this plan is to help to strengthen David. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, and in 13, he says, moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we shall draw it into the river until there be not one small stone be found. So Hushai said, and if he happens to get into a city where he may try to hide, we'll go down there and tear that city down. We'll rip it down brick by brick. So this is Hushai's very thorough, very grandized plot to give to Absalom to overthrow the simple, let's just go and grab David now and kill him, advice that Ahithophel gave. And as we're going to see, Absalom says, yeah, I like your plan better. But look what he says, verse 14. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said the counsel of Hushai, the Archite, is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. Now look at this. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel. Ahithophel's counsel was the best, but the Lord appointed to defeat it. And it was defeated by the counsel of Hushai. So the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel to the intent that the Lord may bring evil upon Absalom. So you can see the Lord is in the battle. Who is really fighting your battle? God.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So Ahithophel's counsel would have worked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but God intervened with Hushai, whatever his name is, to distract.
To distract them. Okay. I like that word. That distracted. Exactly. Yep. All right. And so 15. Then Hushai, let me read it again. Then said Hushai unto Zadok. Now, remember, now Hushai, once he recognized that Absalom was taking his advice, Hushai is an ally of David. And there were two other allies. There were the two priests. And here they are here. Then Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel. And thus have I counseled. So he's now telling the priests the whole story. Okay? And remember, the priests are also, David told the priests, you go back into Jerusalem. You may be able to work there to help me while I'm running. So you got these three people there. And there were other people that David didn't even know of that were there trying to help him. Because even though Absalom was coming after him, there were people there trying to help. Yes, sir.
Yeah, now, this is the guy you told him to keep an eye on, right? Is that
No. Joab. Joab is the guy that I want you to keep an eye on. We'll see.
Okay.
All right, because he's the one that was going to pop in and out here. And at the end of 2 Samuel, David's going to say something about Joab, and I want to know if you agree with it. So, just keep in mind on Joab. But Joab's name's going to pop up here in a minute anyway. But we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So we got these three, Ahushai, Zadok, and Abiathar, that are in Jerusalem. They didn't run with David, but they are for David. Keep that in mind, that you got people for you in places that are not good places. I mean, we got corrupt government, but there are people that love the people of God that happen to work there.
That's like in Solomon and Gomorrah. He said if you find 10 good people.
Good people, yeah. It could be a bad place like Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham said, if there be 10 good people in Sodom, will you destroy it? And God said, if there were 10 good people in the area of Sodom and Gomorrah, I would not destroy it. So it points out that you got a lot of stuff that's still going on and it's still bad, and God didn't destroy it because there are some good people there.
He said, if there's 2 or 3 that agree in my name, there he'll be in the midst.
Exactly. Look at verse 16. Now, therefore, send quickly and tell David. Now, they're telling the priest, you got to get David a message, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up and all the people that are with him. So he's letting them know, speed up. Because Absalom said he's going to take my advice. But if he happens to take the advice of Ahithophel, you are in trouble. Don't rest. Go. Speed up. And sometimes we got to remember that we got to, Jesus said, the day you hear my voice, harden not your heart. When the Lord speaks to you, go, do. Don't delay. Let God bring forth that, because you do have an enemy. We have to remember we are always in a war. I don't care how good your day's going. We're getting ready to have a nice holiday weekend. And it's like, oh, this is going to be a great day. Yeah, but there's still a devil around. And you may have a great day, but that don't mean you stop praying.
Amen.
You may have a good gathering. You may have some hamburgers and hot dogs. Something may be going on that's really nice. You still pray. You may get to meet some people you ain't seen before. Oh, this looks like a nice person. That's good. Still pray.
Amen.
All right. And so we always got to, you get that brand new job. Oh, this is great. Oh my goodness, this is a blessed job. Oh, I'm telling you, you still need to pray. Don't let the goodness overshadow what you still recognize.
Don't be
I am
sleeping.
in a war.
Yeah.
Don't be what, baby?
Don't be sleeping.
Don't be sleeping. That's right. Don't be sleeping. All right, so look at verse 17. Now, Jonathan and Amasa stayed in Rolegji. I'm going to mispronounce all these cities, so bear with me. For they might not see to come into the city. And a wench, or a slave woman, went and told them. So they sent somebody else. Now they relaying this message. They call it a wench, or a slave woman, or a servant or a girl. Now she's involved. Who is this person? But she's carrying the message. Right? Not an important person, called a wench, but an important chain and the link to protect David that God designed. How much of a link are you connecting to help people that sometimes you don't even recognize? I'm a link in the chain that God's using to help bless somebody. And you need to be as strong of a link in that chain as you can be. Okay? So they sent the wench to tell them. and they went and told King David. Now David's got the message. Okay, verse 18. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But so now, when the slave girl, the wench, went to go tell a lad, a young fella, saw it, and what did he do? He went back and told Absalom. Keep this in mind. That's once again the spiritual realm. The Bible calls the devil the accuser of the brethren. All he wants to do is go back and tell on you. Any bad deeds, anything that you say, anything that you do wrong, all the devil wants to do is to talk about how bad you are. Let me bring this news. And so this lad's got information, and he's going back to Absalom to tell Absalom what's going on. All right. Let me read 18 again. Nevertheless, the lad saw them and told Absalom, but they went both of them away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim. So they recognized, I think we were seeing, let's go real quickly, until they went to this man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court. Okay, you think, okay, why is this man's house that has a well written in the Bible? Because it became an important thing. The Spirit of God does not make a mistake mentioning just very common things. The man's got a court in the front. He's got a well. Big deal. Why do we need to know about that? Well, look what happened. Whether they, which had a well in the court, whether they went down. So what does that mean? They went into the well. Who? The people that were going to give the message to David. Okay? They went down in the well. Look at verse 19. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth and spread ground corn upon. So she put a covering, like a rug, over the well, and then put a whole bunch of ground corn. So now that area looks like what? Solid ground. Who would put ground corn on top of a well, because the weight of the corn could cause the well to fall? And so nobody would do that. So when the people came to them, because they knew, I saw that wench come over here, and y'all know where these guys went. All right, so where did they go? Where did these people, these messengers to go tell David, where did they run to? All right, so she spread ground corn thereof, and the thing was not known. So she did a good job. She hid them well. You know, the enemy can be coming after you, and he just can't find you. Mm-hmm. He can't get to you. That happened with Jesus.
You could be in plain sight.
Be right there in plain sight, and you just slip right on by. The enemy can't grab you. Why? Because God protected you. And a lot of times he's working around with people. Because there are people after you because they're being motivated by the enemy. But then you got other people that are being motivated by God. And sometimes they might not even know what and why they are involved, but they're doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Make your enemy your footstool.
This is how God works a lot of times. Verse 20. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, they be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. So they went over, they followed the lady's description, advice of where they went and looked, and they couldn't find them. Verse 21. And it came to pass after they were departed that they came up out of the well and went and told King David all. Let me read this again. Went and told King David and said unto David, arise and pass quickly over the water, for thus have Ahithophel counseled against you. When David arose and all the people that were with him, and they passed over the Jordan by the morning light, there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. Everybody listened and everybody moved out. Everybody decided, you know what? Yeah, it's time to get out of here. We're going to follow the advice that was given to us. All right. And they moved over Jordan. So now they got some space, they got some time, but they're going to get more help. But let's keep going. Verse 23. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass. In other words, he got in his car, right? And arose and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his house in order. He wrote out his will, wrote some last, words, and hanged himself and died. Sound like somebody? That's what Judas did. Okay? And that's why I said they were a type. And so just like David had a close friend that betrayed him, Jesus had a close friend that betrayed him. And that speaks to us. All right? Sometimes we think that the person is our best friend, just because they smile in your face, that don't mean everything is wonderful. Always pray. Oh, this person loves me. Yeah, well, continue to pray. Because maybe they do. But you don't need but a moment, because Ahithophel was for David. But for a moment, something got into him, and we know it was the devil. And his thoughts changed. And why? Well, sometimes we don't know, but we do know that all of us have the potential. The heart of men the Bible says, is desperately wicked. So we all have that potential to be used by the enemy. And Ahithophel was used, and when he recognized that his advice was not carried out, he was a wise enough strategist to know Absalom's not going to win. He's not going to win. David's going to win. And when David wins and comes back, I'm going to be the enemy. So rather than have David come back and say, you gave advice to try to kill me and me be put to death by David, Absalom said, I'm going to do it myself. So he wasn't looking or even thinking that possibly David would forgive him. Because David got forgiveness. Ahithophel doesn't live his life with the concept of grace and mercy. So because he doesn't believe in grace and mercy, he don't think he can get grace and mercy.
Neither did Judas either.
And neither did Judas.
He wanted the Romans dead and gone and obliterated.
Exactly. And so then because he doesn't believe in the grace and mercy of God, he takes things in his own hands and he becomes his own God, and he judges himself and puts himself to the point where he hangs himself and he's dead. All right, 24. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan. So now we see that they're both making chess moves. They both moved to different places. Absalom went over to Jordan, but David's gone. And David came to this place called Mahanaim. He and all the men of Israel that were with Absalom crossed over to Jordan. 25. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab. So now, Absalom told Joab, I'm not going to have you as being my king, my captain. I'm going to make Amasa my captain. Now you say, well, who was Amasa? Well, that was my question too, but the Bible does tell us right here. And it says, which Amasa was a man's son whose name was Ithream-ish, an Israelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zerahud, Joab's mother. Now that's a long-winded way of saying that Amasa was Joab's cousin. All right, they were they were related. Okay. I wish they could have just said cousins, so I didn't have to read all them names, which I can't pronounce anyway. 26. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. 27. And it came to pass when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobright, the son of Nashon, of Rehoboth, the children of Ammon. So now here's some individuals that are not Israelites. They're what? They're from Ammon. And Makor, the son of Ameliel of Lodabar, and Barzillite, the Gilead of Rogelim. Right? Why are we pronouncing all these names? Who are these people? Folks that just show up. Strange names, strange people, not even family members. And all of a sudden, guess what? They pop up. Why are they there? Why is the Bible taking time to mention all these people and where they're from and all that? Well, let's keep reading. Look at verse 28. Brought beds and basin. Beds, where you're sleeping. Basins, what? And earthen vessels. What is that for? That's like pots and pans and plates and knives and forks. Well, why do you need pots and pans and plates and knives and forks and spoons? Because you got some food to eat. You've been running. You have not been able to gather food. This wasn't a casual walkthrough where you could find a berry bush and grab some berries, or find a peach or a pear tree and grab. No, you were running. Remember, they told him, Hushai told them, tell David, get out of here quickly. And so they brought, reading again, beds and basin and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentil and parched pulse. Verse 29, and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kind. That, what is of kind? Mean cheese of goats and camels, or not camels, or cows. All right? So all of a sudden, you're being fed, taken care of. You have a banquet on the run in the wilderness while somebody's trying to take your life. God can bless you right where you are with an abundance, even though you're in a problem.
You prepare the table before me in the presence of my enemies.
Exactly. That's a good one. Thank you, Miss Penny. She said, the Lord prepared a table for me in the presence of my enemies. God is going to take care of you. And that's, I mean, that is such a bottom line mental concept that we have to have. God will take care of you. Who was that to sing that song? The Lord will take care of me. James Moore. Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful song. God will take care of you. You just got to believe it. Well, the worst thing that I could think of is happening. God will take care of you. He is on your side, just like he was with Joseph. And you can see here that God is with David, even though David has some cause for all of the problem. He was kind of, the guy that struck the match, that lit the fuse. But God's like, I'm not going to allow you to blow up because you made a dumb mistake, because I can see in your heart that you serve me, that you care for me, that you love, that you are a true child of God. And Jesus said himself, my sheep know my voice. He didn't say my sheep are perfect. Yes.
I think we know that God can take care of us, but we don't allow him to. Mm-hmm. We think we got to help him out, like he don't know what to do for little old me.
Yep.
Like right. I'm so much different. Yeah. No, he's my creator. He will take care of me.
Right.
So we have to not only believe it, we have to let him do it.
You gotta let God do it. Exactly.
Let go and let God.
And so you see David here on the run, but he ain't hungry. He ain't sleeping on some rocks. They brought him beds. He's not eating, with his fingers. He's got basins and vessels of earth. He's got pots and jars and pans. Mm-hmm. So, because why do you need that? Because you got the flour. You need something to put the flour in to knead it to make the bread. Right? And so God is taking care of him. But this is not a good time for David. David is still heartbroken. but God is taking care of him. And we're going to see how David deals with that heartbrokenness as we continue on in our next 2 or 3 studies. But let's finish this up. For David and for his people that were with him to eat. They brought all his food for David and the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. And David was. And we also know, which we'll find out later, it doesn't say this here, David was also brokenhearted emotionally. So Ahithophel's advice would have worked. Why? Because David was hungry, he was weary, he was thirsty, and he was in the wilderness. But thank God, God did not allow the plan that Ahithophel had for David to come to pass. Just like God will not allow the plan for any demon, any devil, any evil spirit to come to pass on his children without God being with them. Now, difficulties, God will allow certain things. God allowing David to run from Absalom. He's allowing to run, but he's not going to allow the destruction. All right? And that's the thing we got to keep in mind. Yes, you will have some difficult days. Yes, you may have some tears. Yes, you will have some heartbreaks. But you will always be a child of God. That will not change. God will not reject you. He will not forsake you. He will be there. And we should always keep that in mind. So we're going to stop here. Any comments or questions? The story is not done. We'll pick up on the story, if the Lord say the same, on next week to find out what happens here. But any comments or questions on what we've talked about so far?